Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome back to the Spiritual Path. I am your host, Kim Gilster, and I am the Spiritual Synergist. You can find out more about me on my website, The Spiritual Synergist, at kimgilster.com. And today we have a special guest. My normal co-host, Hafiz Ullah, is actually in Oregon at a Love Fest, and he's teaching there, and he's in the middle of the woods, so he can be with us today. But I am happy to welcome Jody Dottie. She's a wonderful and dear friend, a very enlightened, empowered being. So did you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do, Jody?
Yes. Hi, I'm so happy to be on the show with you, Kim. I am Jody Doty, and I am a soul reader. So what that means is I just look at the beautiful soul, the spirit within each of us. So beyond the physical to the sign symbols, those beautiful pictures that we hold within us as spirit within a body, which is really why we're here to operate beautifully within these bodies we were given. And then I'm just happy to be on the show with you. Thanks for asking me. Happy to pitch in.
Yeah, that's what we're all about around here, collaboration, right? It's really important.
Absolutely.
It's actually a part of being empowered.
Right.
And that's what we decided to talk about today. We decided to talk about how we end suffering and become empowered beings. The reason for this is that we have both been seeing a lot of information going out there as of late that has to do with this concept of narcissist empath. Or, how do you define a psychopath or sociopathic things, and many people pointing fingers and acting out of fear and trying to protect themselves and just really acting out of a space of being a victim and not out of a space of being someone who genuinely loves themselves and is an empowered being. So I see we have a lot of callers today. And just so you know, we are not doing readings on the show. However, we are more than happy to answer any of your specific questions that have to do with the topic. But before we get to you guys and your questions, we're going to, cover some of the tools and some of the pitfalls, etc., about this subject. How does this come into being, etc.? Correct. So, Jody, I think we were talking about, a few days ago, what it is, what kind of beliefs people have around this and why. I mean, what are some of the observations that you've made in your practice?
Of the belief, the victim belief, is that, or belief in general about being empowered? I think it's more that people feel that their power is outside of themselves, that it's within. It's not within them, that they have to somehow react and experience their power through other people or as a reaction to other people. And that's kind of where some of the victim not being empowered comes from, is that you're not owning your own gifts or your own power within yourself. And that's what I've been noticing.
Correct. And something that I think people confused is the concept of empathy with sympathy.
Right.
Many people are sensitive, and they certainly do feel. I mean, I've done this my whole life. They certainly do feel, what others are feeling. But what they're practicing is sympathy. And here's what sympathy looks like. I was watching a video on TikTok. Love the way this, I wish I could remember her name. I was trying to look it up this morning. But the way she explained it is sympathy looks like this. Here's a sandwich. You're feeling so bad. I'm going to come over and I'm going to try to save you. I'm going to try to do what it is that I think you need. Okay?
Right.
I'm going to do what I call, from the Army, we call it Captain Save-A-Ho. We just go, da-da-da-da. Okay. That, in of itself, then puts you in a position where you're trying to control the other person and how they actually feel. However, empathy makes you a lot more vulnerable. And here's why. Because to be empathetic, to act in accordance with empathy, means to actually sit with the person and just allow them to be in the space that they're in. We have all been in those spaces of feeling confused and dark and hurt and feeling victimized and on it goes. And that's okay. So when I act in empathy, what I do instead is I say, I understand. Is there anything that I can do?
Right.
And oftentimes, the person will just say, just being here is enough, Kim. Just being here is enough. We need to listen to them. Would you like to talk? No. That's okay. If the person would like to talk, fine. Allow them. Allow them to tell you what's going on inside of them. To project onto them is an entirely different matter. And so what you're going to get is what people call narcissistic behavior out of that person. So then you set yourself up for this, right? Because it's very natural for now this person to look at you and say, well, I have these feelings. I'm allowed to have these feelings. What are you talking about? Blah, 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 blah. And then it grows. If you have an ongoing relationship with this person now becomes defensive. This person is simply trying to protect themselves. And then you grow to where you're protecting yourself. And guess what? Now both people, if you were to talk to them that were in this relationship or are in this relationship, will tell you that the other person is a narcissist.
Yeah.
Okay. Narcissism, by and large, are behavioral patterns. Enabling is also a behavioral pattern. Okay. It is not a personality disorder. Okay. Narcissist. There is such a thing as a narcissistic personality disorder, but that's an extreme, and those people are pretty rare, actually. Okay.
Yeah.
We all can and have acted in ways that are narcissistic, or at least appear to be narcissistic towards other people. And again, that's created out of this perception that I'm going to protect myself. Okay? So now you get into the space of where, people will say, and I've had this said to me recently, but Kim, I need to realize how I was a victim in order to recover.
I'm laughing, but I know. I've experienced it myself. I know that. Well,
Me too.
If I can understand it, it makes it easier to deal with it.
Correct. And that's true, except looking at what the other person has done or has not done in any given situation, okay, and pointing the finger at them and saying that, they hurt me, so they're bad, and I'm good, and, I just need to find other ways to protect myself better. What you're really saying is, I'm bad as well. Because here's the thing. When we sit in a place of judgment of anyone for any reason, what we're really doing is judging ourselves.
Right.
We're trying to hold ourselves up into this space of whatever morals that we were raised with in order to make ourselves feel superior, to make ourselves feel like, we're protected, to try to be in a space of control of ourselves and control over others. But that does not allow a space of love, because that is a space of utter resistance. What do we do instead? What are some of the tools? You know, what are some of the tools that you've learned to use, Jody?
Well, for me, a lot of times what happens with people that are experiencing that, where it's in the blame game, I find that your energy is totally out of your body. It's from an energetic perspective. You've basically left home, left your body, and gone into the other person. I mean, imagine sitting and thinking about that person, judging that person. Your focus is in that person, so you're not even really in your own body at that point. You're kind of floating over into their space, and you've totally lost your own connection to yourself, really, because your focus is on that person. Instead of, like you explained so well with the empathy, where you sit with them and you allow a space, but you are still within your own, self, your own body, your own, your own power. So it's about coming back in and owning your power, or re-empowering yourself. So releasing that energy, and quite frankly, coming into your own self, coming into your body, feeling your, to me, just patting your leg and saying the date and coming back in and being present to yourself. And that's a really basic thing, but it's very important, because when we go where our focus is, and you're very vulnerable when you're not in your body, when you're judging, when you're outside, when you're looking at someone, when you're projecting yourself, when you're trying to fix somebody, you're basically over in their space. And you want to just really focus on yourself, on coming home, and how do I release this? And for me, I use a lot of visualization tools, a lot of coming home to you tools, a lot of present time, being in this moment. So those are just some of the things, some of my observations, some of the things that I do.
And those are all useful tools, I mean, because here's the thing. When I work with people, what it is, yes, you do need to work through, big triggers. When we're in a very large triggery space, okay, so perhaps we've had a death, or perhaps, we've gone through some grueling relationship, or going through a divorce, or we're having, huge problems with one of our children, or a boss, right, or what have you. And we're getting these really big triggers, okay? What we need to do in that space is just what you're talking about, We need to do energy work. We need to go inside of ourselves. What I usually recommend for people to do is really just put that energy in your heart. Now, for those who do not know how to meditate, you will not get anywhere in life without being able to meditate. You'll never heal anything if you don't learn. There's a lot of us out here. We're very good at teaching meditation. It's not as difficult as some people make it out to be. It's actually very simple. But that said, the meditation that I recommend is just, feeling yourself in your heart center. I will even, recommend that people do binaural beats meditations, particularly the one for, heart center activation. It's very, very helpful. Why? Because through that heart center, more than any other place in our being, we can actually transmute the energy to where it gets to a point where we can work with it. When we're being heavily triggered, it is impossible to try to, because all this starts happening, our heads start spinning. Boom, 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 boom. And it makes up all sorts of stories.
Yeah.
Even if you try to go into, if you're being heavily triggered and you try to go into regression type therapy, you will get false memories. Your memories are not actually stored. Yeah. know. I've read a lot about false memory syndromes and things like that. And I've, sat with it and meditated about that. And, again, with anthropology and, a lot of background in biology and psychology and all that I have, I've been able to really ascertain what's going on. Once you get into a space of really being able to work with that energy and things, calm down a bit around you, it's very, very necessary to work what I like to call what seem to be small triggers. With people who come to me, with my clients, I will actually advise them to go online and read things. That's the easiest way that they know they have issues with, that they have judgments around. Maybe it's politics. Maybe it's, for me it was feminist websites where there was a lot of misogynistic folks saying awful things. Whatever it is for you, okay, the minute that you find yourself judging that other person, you're actually being triggered.
Right.
And at that point, okay, your brain is sort of out of the way because it thinks that's about the other person. It's not about me. I don't do that. But it's causing you to emote. It's causing you to judge. It's causing, whatever it is. And so now with that, we can go into the heart space, go deep within the self. And we can, ask this, okay, so what we want to do is, and I've talked about this on a previous show, we want to go into our heart chakra and just feel the feeling as deeply as we can. When our brain tries to determine what the feeling is, we do, like we do in any other meditation, we watch it float away.
Right.
Okay, because the thing is that to analyze our feelings is of no use. It really is no use. And the reason for that is because it causes judgment. Because we get taught anger is okay or not. And anger is okay in this situation, but not that situation. Sadness is okay or not. Happiness is okay. There are all these judgments that we have around feelings.
Right.
But to get into a space of really being able to self-love, you need to love all of whatever our feelings are. And again, when you start going into your feelings, what you tend to realize eventually is that many of our feelings don't even really have labels because they're a bit more complex. Okay.
Hybrid.
So
hybrid.
Right? They are. And so once we're really in that feeling, we ask the feeling itself to take us to the first time that we felt that way. What we're looking for is the core here, okay? Now, when we go and we're sitting with what will always be our child, if you get to a place where it's not your child, that's okay. Then it's just a layer. Sometimes that happens because that's teaching us to communicate with self a little better. But, once you get there, you want to validate. But validation doesn't look like I'm going to be the parent and I'm going to hold you and I'm going to make everything okay. Why? Because that's actually invalidating. Because it says there's something wrong with what you're feeling. And there's never anything wrong with how you feel. Okay? So, just like, and we see this today in child psychology, right? A lot of child psychologists are saying to validate the child's feeling if they're having a fit or whatever they're doing, you just say, it's okay to feel that way, and I love you. However you feel is fine. The child will then get over it very quickly, and then we have an empowering discussion. Now, what does that look like? That can look like many things. We know by law of attraction that, we can manifest anything that we want, for instance. Okay? What's happening is not about the other person. that, yes, it feels, okay, this person's inflicting pain on me, but it's only happening because the little child didn't understand what it was, all about being here on the airplane and was highly confused. And the adult person, or, even a sibling or what have you, was just reacting out of, what tools they had, which were obviously not sufficient, or else you wouldn't be feeling that way most likely. And then sometimes, actually, you're feeling that way, but you're feeling that way because, well, you just didn't have the tools to understand what was going on, period. So there's no one to forgive. Right.
Right.
You don't
and
need
I know
forgiving.
I like that idea of forgiveness that you talked about earlier with me that, well, talk about forgiveness. Tell me, because I think people would really enjoy that perspective.
Well, to forgive basically means that somebody's to blame, that somebody has to own up to something that they did that we judge as being wrong, whether it's you or whether it's another person. There's people who they'll expect that, well, this person needs to apologize. And then, well, I've forgiven them, so they don't need to apologize. Well, but there's nothing to forgive, because the thing is that, there's so many different types of situations. Again, somebody could have made you feel that way, but guess what? You only feel the way that you feel because of you. Okay? For instance, let me give you an example that has occurred in my life. I had somebody that, I was in a public space, and this gentleman was going on and on about, he was very foul, calling women hoes, and all these just things that people would think are awful. And it didn't affect me. It didn't affect me because I had worked on all of those triggers. So because of that, I was able to look at him and say, I'm sorry for your, and resonate an energy with him that he felt that to be true, because I really was. I was being empathetic. I understood that he was in pain, really understood it. Because of that, he looked at me and he said, oh my gosh, you do, don't you? It stopped him in his tracks. And inside of half an hour after speaking to him from a space of empathy and love, genuine love, he was crying on my shoulder. And he went off to, from an understanding that women, were not all trying to victimize him. That's the thing. And he was coming from a space of being a victim, and so he was trying to hurt. He was hurting other people, do you see, to try to protect himself. Yes. And he told me things. He told me about, some of the abuse that he had suffered, or at least some was more perceived, I suppose. But, perception is everything.
Right.
Right?
And so, you empowered him. You empowered him by listening to him, by acknowledging his pain. You empowered him to heal himself, to look at himself instead of look outside at, what caused it, to go more into who he is and how he can heal and into his own heart. So that was very empowering.
Yes, it was empowering for him and me. Because, the energy that I felt with that was just so empowering. That was not, I didn't have any expectations of that, it's quite miraculous. And, and I do that a lot now. So now it's just, an everyday sort of thing. But I've also learned that, I don't look for highs and lows. Okay. Not too long ago, I had somebody who, said, falling in love, staying and falling in love with yourself is where you want to be. True. But this person was coming from this super, super blissful state. That blissful state, it feels wonderful. Don't get me wrong. However, remaining there, you can't remain there. And here's why. It's because what you're doing is you're seeking a high. And in order to, because of law of attraction and vibrations, okay, and the way that vibrations work, in order to achieve that, you've got to have some conflict happen. Just, you know what I mean, to a certain extent, to continue to achieve that, okay?
Right.
So, yeah, and what that really is, you know, what one of the teachers I enjoy calls spirituality 2.0. When you get into that space of, oh my gosh, sweeping the floor is miraculous. Oh my gosh, you know, let's see, yeah, oh, look at that star, it's so beautiful. I still see the beauty in those things. I see them even more now, and I'm not in that state, okay? Because what I realized is I needed to integrate. I need to do things like pay my bills. And guess what? My spirit, I believe that's what she called the soul, doesn't care about that. It doesn't care, you know, whether or not the sun comes up. It doesn't care about anything. It's just blissful. And the only thing that it really does care about, though, is expansion. So eventually it will take you back into a space where it's saying, okay, you need to align with your soul and your physical space in order to give you motivation. And that includes desire.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah. Desire is actually a very important part of being. The problems come up and arise at times. Where is that desire coming from? Is it coming from some set of judgments, immorality, or is it actually coming from a state of what you truly desire?
And that invites discernment. What is this?
Yes.
What is this really that I'm looking for?
Yes. And
where is it
to be right. I've learned that we don't have to be careful, though. We do need to be mindful and conscious of two different things. When we're in a state of careful, what we're saying is I need to protect myself. Something could go wrong. Oh, my gosh. When we're in a state of mindfulness, we go, oh, that was interesting. Not really what I was looking for. Oh, why did so things happen because things are always going to happen. Pain is imminent. Okay. How do I get out of the suffering with that? Okay. So here comes some pain. And Kim says, oh, hi, pain, what's up? Why are you here? What is it that you're trying to show me? I'm not going to resist you. I understand that I've aligned with you, and you're here to help me. You're not here because I'm a bad person. You're not here because my desires weren't right. You know? You're not here because there's something totally wrong with me. You're here to guide me. Actually bring me to what it is I truly want. Okay? And life changes. It shifts. It's always shifting. Okay? So I could have had something that I wanted. It was what I truly wanted. And it was a part of, my being. And I could have lasted, like a relationship for 10 years. And it served me very, very well. And hopefully the other person I was in a relationship with, it served them very well as well.
Right.
And it's time to move forward into something new. That can bring a lot of pain.
Absolutely.
But if we look at the pain and we say, okay, this is telling me that it's time to move forward. It could be move forward within that relationship. It could be, it could be many, many different things. But it's time to move forward into something else. It's my inspiration. I don't suffer through that. I look at it and go, oh, wow, I'm excited. I got some pain to work with.
It's all in a matter of
Very,
perspective,
it's
isn't
joyful. It really is. It's joyful and not suffering. You know? Oh, wow, that's exciting. It means that, you know what, there's something that I'm going to be doing. This, you know, things are opening up for me. And that's exactly how I treat it. It is, you know, not a lesson, okay, because lessons, again, connotate, oh, I need this lesson because, you know, I don't know things and I'm somehow less than and blah, 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 blah. Life is not about a hierarchy. Am I more aware than some people? Yes. Am I less aware than others? Yes. And that's okay. I can't know absolutely everything there is to know, and that's okay. I know what it is that suits me and those around me, those that are attracted into my energy spaces, and so on and so forth. You know, just because somebody else may not be aware of some of the things that I'm aware of does not mean they're not perfectly placed where they need to be.
Exactly. Or that I often tell people this in my readings, you are more powerful than you know. And just because, especially with those that connect with other beings or their spirits, and they have some fear, it's like you are senior in your space. You have a lot of information within you, and that's yours to work with. You know, you don't, when you go into fear or into one of the, also I think some of the, just along the lines of what you were talking about, you know, sometimes the challenges, I like to look at them a gift. Here's a gift that this person gave you to own your own space, to feel empowered as you are, to look at boundaries, to look at what you need to learn about power. So this is a gift. So I actually you know, presented in that form. This is a gift the person you're in conflict with has given you to look at. So, you know, if you think of it in those terms, it does change the perspective of you know, you're being, it's much more empowering. Then it's something that you are working through, that you have brought to yourself, that you have helped create so that you could learn, so or so that you could heal within yourself. So it's a gift. It's a gift that it's being presented. There's a reason. There's always a reason it comes up. Doesn't matter. Just matters that you are aware of it and that you're ready to, you know, it's here now. You're supposed to deal with it. There's a reason it's there, and it's for you to heal. It's something for you to learn, to heal, and to work through.
Absolutely, and the fear is generally there because of, you know, these programs that we're given. That's why it's real important to go into the triggers with, you know, all of it, at least eventually. You know, we have a lot of, for instance, programs around darkness.
Yes.
You know, yeah, darkness is our friend. It really exists to help us. You know, some people, oh, it's putting me in pain. Yes, as I said, pain is your friend. Okay. There is really nothing to fear. When we have the fears come up, there's nothing wrong with that either, because fear is not an enemy. Fear is just, you know, one form of pain. Right?
Right.
Yeah, that's it. It's okay, but, you know, but money is, you know, of course, you know, I mean, I'm not recommending, oh, let me stay in a relationship where somebody's beating me. Or, you know, where I'm just, you know, where things have just become excruciatingly toxic. No. That, of course, would not be the loving thing to do. Right.
That's a whole other thing, right.
It really is. It's just that when we get brave enough to, and it does take bravery, to, you know, get ourselves out of whatever situation it is. And I've seen toxic situations a lot with workplaces even that were just as bad as personal relationships. And people are not thinking that because, well, I'm making money, you know, but yeah. But
Yeah,
when we
I
become
worked
brave
in.
enough to take ourselves out. Go ahead.
I was going to say I worked in law for years, and I think that firm split. One of the firm splits I was in had to be worse than any divorce I ever worked on because we lived with each other every day in that moment, in that situation, and you're stuck together longer, 8 hours of your day, dealing with that situation. Although there's so many similarities, it's just a different way of viewing it. But you're right. So.
Yes. So, okay, I think we've kind of covered the basics. So, do we want to take our first caller? Let's go ahead and take our first caller because they've been waiting so patiently. Thank you so much for waiting. Okay. Hello, and welcome to Spiritual Path. Who am I speaking to?
Hello, thank you very much.
Hello, did you have a question, Jenny?
Yes, my name is Wendy, and I had a panel interview at Anthem Blue Cross on July 29th. It went well. I haven't heard anything, and I sent a very nice thank you note last Monday, and I just checked online regarding the status, and it does show still active. It says under hiring manager review. And if selected, I would start the day after Labor Day, September the 6th. Do you think they're going to hire me?
Oh, yeah, this is not a show for readings. Yeah, that would be a different show. This is just, about the subject, if you have questions about the subject that we're discussing, which is becoming empowered. But just look inside of yourself and see how you feel about it. And no matter what, know that if you do or you do not get hired, it could be that you're in line for something that's more empowering and better for you. Okay?
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, dear. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay, so now for our next caller. Hello, welcome to the Spiritual Path. Who am I speaking to, please?
Yes, you're speaking with Jay from Canada, Kim, and thanks for meeting you both, Jody and Kim.
Hi, Jay.
Thanks for calling.
How are you?
Good. How about yourself? I've been listening to your show. It just reminds me of something that I just took just recently, and I just took a 7-month yoga course, and I did all of it and pretty well of it, and I'm just it's really, really fascinating that you're talking about something that I actually witnessed and experienced in the 7 months that I did it. So I've become more empowered. My question is that, January always comes around where people make promises making their New Year's promises, and they don't fulfill them for some sort of reason. They just kind of die out. I just wondered, from your experience of maybe doing your readings and stuff like that, what is the thing that keeps the people going longer in, attaining some sort of goal or something like that when they can't see there's nothing really to spur them on to keep on going?
Do you want to answer that, Jody?
Yeah, I'm just seeing, generally when I look at that, it's because the person is so far out in the future, and of course that's when your body goes into fear and anxiety, and then you kind of go down into those emotions, and then you go down into your survival, which says, well, you can't possibly do this, and you're not going to, how can you? So you start going into that place that Kim was talking about of really judging. And so I think I'm really just a huge proponent of being in the present moment. You can set a goal for yourself, but then every day, kind of reaffirm, kind of look, is this really what I want? Really kind of take a hard look at yourself and kind of listen to your own intuition, your own tuning, because we change all the time. There's free will, and what sounds like a great idea on December 31st may not be a great idea, on February 1st or whatever. And the more pressure we put on ourselves because we're looking into the future, at it, it kind of defeats our purpose. And our purpose is to live now, to live in this moment, and to, to embrace and welcome growth and healing, but not so much looking at it so long term that your body goes into anxiety to get there.
Right.
I just wondered.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, I just wondered on that subject where we're getting to is the thing of I'm finding that when I did it, I just did it every day and I said no big deal, and I just wondered what maybe got through that is a state of impermanence and nothing lasts forever. Why do we get fixated on stuff that lasts forever? Like you're saying, get fixated on the long-term goal and just going out and just doing it and just say, well, I did it and it was just a beautiful moment and do it again the next day. So I just wondered about, we have this something about being fixated on something for a long time, yet not enjoying the present moment in the impermanence of that moment. Why is society like that?
I think there's a lot of attachments. There's attachments to morals, there's attachments to what our physical body needs to look like. There are attachments to youth. It just goes on and on and on. And these are programs. They are things that we've been programmed to want. For the sake of these, people, whomever they are, to control us. Okay? And that's true. It's not a conspiracy thing. I look at those people and just go, wow, they're so disempowered. And so when I see them being in that space, I just think, I would really like to sit with you. I'd really, like to show you how to be empowered so that you don't feel like you need to control everyone.
Or your situation.
The big churches are a good example, or politicians, or, CEOs of big companies are really good examples of that. So that's part of where it comes from. But and I wanted to touch back on, with your first question, what's really going on there. So people make these goals, but they don't ask themselves what this goal is about. They don't ask themselves what it is that they really, really want, right? So I might say, I want to go on this diet, but I don't ask myself why.
Yeah.
Okay, and really what's going on in my subconscious mind might be something like, I want to go on this diet because I'm afraid that if I'm not thin enough, people will not approve of me. Okay, or I'm going to go on this diet because I feel like I need it for my health, but wait a minute, I think that the diet in of itself is going to fix everything. But it doesn't, and I can't maintain the diet because I haven't worked on self-love. Okay? Because if I were coming from a space of self-love, what my diet would look like would reflect that. So it's much more useful to work on a space of self-love and self-empowerment first and watch the diet come out of that. As a matter of fact, somebody that I have been working with for the last few months, she's been overweight her whole entire life. She got into a space of being accepting of the fact that she's been overweight. Then we started working on her self-love. And she just started not wanting the things that make her overweight. And in the past couple of months, she's lost 26 pounds. Without trying. Without being on a diet. And then she was like, wait a minute, this is kind of working, so now I want to, understand it a little more. Yeah. But yeah, so the goal needs to come from a space of what I really want. And how do we determine that? And I discussed this on some of the other shows, but one of the tools that I give people that I work with is to make a list of all the things that we don't want first.
Yeah.
Okay?
Why is it we're
because we always know what we don't want. Right. Well, no, because the things we always know what we don't want, that we leave space under each one of those answers to that question. with regard to whatever it is. And then we ask ourselves, why don't I want this? And the question is, the answer will be because I want this, because I want this, because I want this. Now I'm equipped with the things that I actually are at least closer to what it is that I do want. And I practice this at least once a week with myself. Why do I want this? And every time that I feel myself thinking about things that I don't want, I ask myself that question, why? Because then I can figure out what it is that I do want. Oh, because I want this. Okay, that's what I'm going to give my energy to. Make sense? So these are all the reasons why.
Well, I think there's a strategy involved there too. I think is there strategy in doing this? There's not a long term, but there's some sort of like a general strategy in doing it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, which is why, you did the whole 7-month yoga program, and things like that are very helpful. Yeah, you need to find, programs that are, that are right and resonating with you. Absolutely. But to think that we can just do this by ourselves, well, we really can't. I get a lot of people who come online and say, I don't need anybody else's help. All the answers are inside of me. Well, that's true. But it's a matter of I don't give people their answers. I give them ways to find their own answers.
Right.
That's
I had a post recently on my page about a reader
hold
that
on
I
just
read.
a second, Jody. Jody, just a second.
Sure.
So did we answer your questions, Jay?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's great. I was looking forward to you sharing both of your wisdom. But thank you much for your beautiful wisdom. It was great to listen to.
Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kim and Jody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jay. I'm going to say,
hello.
Ask the bigger question.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Andrea.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. My name is Andrea.
Oh, hi, Andrea.
Hi. Hi. How are both of you?
Hello there.
Oh, we're wonderful. Thank you for asking. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. Don't go anywhere, Andrea. I think this was Andrea. Hello?
Yes, it's me. It's me.
Oh, hello.
You muted me.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm still getting used to this technical stuff.
Mute happens. It's a gift to get us back to where we want to be.
I know. It's so crazy, but I love this show. You guys have touched on so many things that I'm actually dealing with right now with a toxic job environment that I kind of just started, and also with my weight and the whole self-love thing. So it's been very informative for me, and you have a really great way of looking at pain in terms of it trying to actually show you something or bring you someplace else. It's not really pain. And my issue is with this job is I'm a brand new nurse. I got into this late. I'm a registered nurse, and I'm in an environment where they didn't really, orientation, they really didn't show you everything that you really needed to know before they were trying to throw you off and just give you 6 patients, and you're kind of out here just flying by yourself. And it's very scary because I have a license to protect, and I have patients that I don't want to hurt. And so it's been a very conflicting thing for me as to whether I should stay or go, but I feel like I'm supposed to be there because I'm trying to help change the environment there. I think that I was put there for that. And I have made some changes. I have been in touch with the management there, but the problem I'm having is that I let everything or some people get to me where I start crying, during periods during the day. And it's very frustrating to me because I don't want to be in that place. It's not that. It's almost like I feel like I'm angry, and when I'm angry, that's when I start to cry. So a lot of people look at crying as weakness. I don't. I have no problems with crying. I have no problems with getting rid of some feelings and the way that I feel. But I think the others are looking at it as kind of like a weakness. And, I don't know what to do. I don't want to feel this way when I walk in the building every day. I really feel like I'm there for the patients, and it's not about all of these other people, but it ends up being that way in this space. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really difficult. Being a nurse, okay, first of all, I want to just say thank you for being a nurse, okay? Nurses, in my reality, have been some of the most special people that I've ever met, especially good ones.
Yes, and that's what I want to be. I want to be a good one.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely, it is. It's very, very challenging. And I have worked with a couple of nurses, actually. The thing is that, I think what can be useful is, first of all, I think that when I'm hearing you, you say you get angry and so you cry. And yes, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But acknowledging that you're angry is wonderful. Okay? That's a step in the right direction. What I would do in your situation is, how I mentioned, going into and empowering your child, getting to the core. So when you're at home and you're not feeling overwhelmed, but, those whatever, you feel yourself looking at that person and thinking this or whatever, go into those triggers. Triggers. And what you will find is you will be able to not, you'll be less and less overwhelmed with everything that's going on. Yeah. Definitely.
I know I haven't been
helping itself.
Feeling that vulnerable, kind of feeling naked, kind of feeling like I'm out here and I'm the only one with no clothes on, and everybody's looking at me.
Okay, so that part of that space is you're wanting to feel you are looking for their approval.
Yes, that's my problem.
When you work the triggers, because you know what? No, that's what we all get taught. We're looking for everyone's approval. I'll tell you, my whole life, I've always known sort of who I am. I've had these what people call spiritual gifts and whatnot, and I suffered a lot of abuse behind that. And one of the places that I was looking for approval, of course, was through my parents. And the minute that I stopped looking for their approval, it took me a lot of work, but once I stopped looking for their approval, I got it.
Okay.
I mean, miracles happened.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm sure it felt like a weight was lifted off of you, because that's such a hard thing to walk around with, always looking for somebody to approve of you or like you or approve of what you're doing, or I need to do that for myself. And it needs to be enough. And that's it.
Right, and one of the things that one of my friends taught me a while back, and I mean, this is a quick fix until you can, deal with trigger. But ask yourself, when you feel that way, okay, where am I looking for approval and or control? Am I looking for approval or control? Decide which one it is, and then what you want to do is take, like a pencil or a little paperweight or whatever, and you're going to put it in your fist. So, you put it in your hand, you make a fist, and you will, grab hold of this as tightly as possible and see the energy of all those feelings going into that feeling for approval or control into whatever that object is. And when you're ready, and breathe, when you're ready to let go of it, just drop it. I let go of that need. Yeah.
Okay.
That can be helpful in the short run. It helps us to survive until we get to the biggie stuff, right?
I usually take
Thank
my
you
crystal
so much for
to
calling, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the show. It's been very helpful.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
Jody, are you there?
I'm there. I like that with the stone, with the fist, and put it all in there. And
yeah, whatever. It's, you know, you can take a pen or a pencil or marker. Yeah.
it just makes
it's a quick
makes
fix.
it real.
It's just in that moment. Yeah, and it makes it real that you've like, okay, I let this go. And again, you're only temporarily letting it go. Okay?
Because it's right.
But it clears the energy so you can work with things. Right, exactly. You know, and also you start to become conscious of, oh, I'm looking for approval here, I'm looking for control here, I'm looking for approval here, I'm looking for control here. You know,
right.
It makes it more. It makes you more aware because you're actually addressing it, and you're addressing, and you're going like, oh, okay, and then pretty soon, okay, I don't need
another
approval.
gift. Another gift to look at how I can
different spaces with. Yeah, exactly. I don't need anybody's approval to be who I am. I don't need that space of empowerment. I don't.
Right.
Even my own. I don't need my approval to love myself. Right? So we have like 3 minutes left on the show. You want to tell people about how to find you and get a hold of you and whatnot?
Sure. The easiest way to find me or to get a hold of me is on my website, which is jodydoty.com. It's a woman with a rhyming name. It's JODYDOTY.com. And I have my emails on there. I'm also on Facebook. I have several pages. I have a Jody Doty Soul Reader page. And then I also have my big one, Meditations and Musings by Jody Doty. Very empowering posts, often uplifting, helping you to really kind of, today's post I think was on dealing with anger for one and how to use that. So kind of touched on that just a little on your show.
We did. I mean, we could have like show after show after show about this. It's, you know, it's, how to deal with it is really simple. Okay, but actually understanding it is not.
Right.
That's the whole thing.
That's the truth.
You know, I keep my processes and what I do simple, and how I teach people, I keep that simple. But you know, but there's subtleties and different ways of understanding, and as we go along, and the deeper and deeper we go, you know, the more that we have, oh, there's this thing that came up, and, you know, there's a question here about that and this and that. Oh, that didn't look like that because it doesn't make logical sense, but it actually is that, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And what that looks like is very individual, which is why we do coaching. Yay!
Yeah.
And if you guys want to find me, I am Kim Gilster, the Spiritual Synergist. My website is kimgilster.com. I do have, you know, monthly coaching sessions. I do readings on occasion. Even my readings are more along the lines of coaching. Yeah, exactly, because like you said, we need to ask the bigger questions. I also have a YouTube, which is, Kim Gilster, the Spiritual Synergist. That's linked into my website. So that's the easiest way to, you know, find my YouTube, actually. And then I am on Facebook as Kim Gilster, the Spiritual Synergist. I have my webpage there. And I also have my Facebook group called the Spiritual Synergist. So it's all real easy. It's just Kim Gilster, the Spiritual Synergist. It's been lovely talking with you today, Jody.
Well, thanks so much for having me on. This has been, you know, all learning is self-learning. So I've learned a lot as well today. And thanks to the callers, too, for calling in. That was great to listen to their
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
I really appreciate that.
Until next time.
Yes, have a wonderful, wonderful next 2 weeks. Bye-bye now.